This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Do you like movies? Do you like games? Books? Paintings? You know what all of these have in common? They're art, and they're all made by people like you and me. If you've ever wanted to explore your creative side, then allow me to recommend to you Skillshare. It's an online learning community with literally thousands of classes on anything art related, from acting to writing to making videos on Instagram, like this class that I'm currently taking from N Las Vegas Trl. All of these videos are curated specifically for you to learn how to inspire your own creativity, so you never have to worry about ads or anything like that in the videos. If you're interested in taking a step in the right direction, then please check out that link in the description below. The first 1,000 people to click on it will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare's premium membership, so you can explore your creativity today. And now, on to the video. Hi everyone, Bandit here, and welcome to... Oh, don't mind that. Someone probably just got murdered outside my room or something. It is the spooky month after all, which means that spooky things are bound to happen to everyone. Eventually. It's just a matter of time, really. But you know what else is happening this month, besides serial killers and monsters? The Nintendo 64 Online Expansion Service Pack, which was definitely very scary when we all saw its price tag. I was one of the many people in my generation who are too old to be considered kids and too young to be considered adults who grew up with the original console. Now, there were lots and lots of happy, family-friendly, fun games to be had on this old gal, but there were also plenty of quite creepy experiences to be had as well. At least they were when I was a kid, with, you know, kid brain and kid voice. For real though, when I was a kid, my voice was very high, like super high. You wouldn't even believe it. There was this girl I really liked, and whenever So in this video, I'm going to go over the scariest moments that I can remember from my childhood playing games on this very console right here. And since this is my personal list from my personal real experiences from my real little boy childhood, be sure to share your experience in the comments below if they didn't show up in my list. And if you're still breathing, of course. Now, you're gonna have to remember that back in the good old Nintendo 64 days, not only was I a small child with small child brain
and voice,
but there was also no real way for kids like me to look up guides on the internet for these video games that we loved to play. Unless, of course, your parents felt nice enough to buy the extra physical game guide from GameStop or something like that, which never really happened for me. And I didn't have any friends to talk to about the games. So all of the games on this list, like I mentioned, are my actual experiences from my actual childhood that I experienced genuinely and alone, or maybe with my brother or sister, or both sitting nearby. That being said though, what kind of a Nintendo 64 themed video would this be if I didn't bring up Super Mario 64? Now, I know what you're thinking. Super Mario 64, it's so family friendly. It's got the wahoos and the yahoos and the mamma mias. And it is family friendly, for the most part. But you see, once you get 12 power stars in the game, a big boo appears in the courtyard of Princess Peach's castle. If you take Mario and punch the big boo, you get access to a whole new world called the Big Boo Haunt. And let me tell you, it's pretty haunted. You enter this world and immediately you realize you're not in Kansas anymore. You see this haunted mansion in front of you and this creepy music starts to play immediately. Now, this was already pretty spooky as a kid, but it wasn't too terribly bad since, you know, it's a Mario game and most things in Mario games have that certain level of Mario cuteness to it. So I wasn't too scared and I was actually able to explore around the mansion and things like that. And I was fine until I got to a certain room, that is, the piano room. Now, I'm a pianist. I have been since I was 3 years old. So for me personally, I saw this piano and thought to myself immediately, oh my god, I wonder if I can run up to this and play a couple notes. And so I walked over to it, and just as I got close enough to touch the keys and reach my hand out, the thing came alive with teeth and force and verve. There's no Mario cuteness to be seen in a living piano monster that's trying to eat your face off. Of course, something like this wouldn't scare me nowadays. Of course. But when I was a kid, this was probably the biggest and scariest jump scare moment that I had ever experienced up to that point, and it's still seared into my mind to this day. Once again, what kind of Nintendo 64 themed video would this be if I didn't mention The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, which just happens to be my favorite game of all time. And for those who have played it, you probably remember that the entire game is full of some pretty creepy moments, a lot of which could probably have a place on this list if I'm being honest, from creepy dungeons to just characters in general. But instead of taking up a bunch of different spaces on this list pointing out the many different creepy moments in the game, I'm going to limit placements in this list to one per game, which would logically be the scariest moment from that game. So, in my opinion, the scariest moment of all the scary moments in Ocarina of Time would be that giant ball that rolls around trying to flatten you when you're trying to get your kokaree sword in the forest as a kid. I mean, you enter this little corridor and you never know where that thing's gonna come from, right? Is it gonna come from the left? Is it gonna come from the right? You don't know. I'm just kidding, you guys. It's the dead hand. Of course, it's the dead hand. You knew it was gonna be the dead hand. But I'm talking specifically the dead hand that you fight when you're a kid, the first time at the bottom of the well. Not with the Master Sword, but with that little envelope opener knife excuse of a blade thing that you have to use as a kid. There's just something about that first encounter that makes you feel so helpless. And I think it mostly has to do with the fact that there's this big, naked, bloody, long-necked, skull-faced, stump-armed monster sludging through the skulls that make up the floors and the walls towards you, slowly trying to eat your face off. And you're a kid. You see what I mean? It's disturbing in the way that scars you for life. I mean, I still see it sometimes in my room as I'm trying to sleep, as its long, dead hands grab me from around the sides of my bed and hold me, and I can't move or breathe, and I see it in the corner of my room with its neck pointed in the air, trudging slowly towards me. And as it leans down and I look into its dead, hollow eyes, I wake up and I know that it wasn't real, right? Up next, we have Banjo-Tooie, which is the sequel to the largely beloved Banjo-Kazooie, and starts off with some scary, intense moments right off the bat. You start the game, get back into the swing of things with reintroducing yourself to the characters playing a card game like Banjo and Kazooie and Mumbo and Bottles, but then an earthquake happens. Mumbo investigates and sees that Gruntilda the witch has come back from the dead, and she always used to creep me out anyway as a kid. Anyway, Mumbo rushes back to the party all the while the witches are shooting at him, trying to kill him. He's able to get back to all the others and warns them about what he saw, but the witches followed him all the way back to the house and decide to shoot and obliterate the building with Bottles still inside, which kills him. Literally kills him right off the bat. But it gets worse. You play as the Banjo duo for a little bit and go see King Jingaling, who has a pleasant conversation with you and asks you politely to fetch the rest of his citizens of his kingdom in exchange for jiggies, one of which he gives you upfront as payment. What a nice guy, you're thinking, and the duo walks out of the palace commenting just that. But then we see Gruntilda and her sisters firing the Bob machine, which is a life-sucking machine at the palace where you just were, sucking the life out of King Jingaling's palace and himself and his little pet on the couch, simply because he talked to you a few minutes prior. And if you go back inside to see the king again, he's a walking, lifeless corpse, a zombie. And even his little pet has been disintegrated to nothing but some eyeballs that blink at you on the couch. You can walk around, but all you hear is him moaning and groaning as he wanders around the place trying to kill you whenever he gets up to you. This scary moment absolutely terrified me as a kid. You know, before society was desensitized to zombies because of the billion movies and games there are about them these days. Here we go. The scares are finally here in the creepy room. A voice inside your head says, "Get out to you." Not only did Donkey Kong 64 change the world of rap forever, it also gave me one of the first auditory-only scary moments of my entire life. And let me tell you, when you hear something scary but don't see anything, that almost makes it worse. Tell me about it. In the Angry Aztec level in the game, there's this area that's a temple with 5 doors and 5 golden bananas inside, one for each Kong that's only attainable by that respective Kong. Now, this area is already kind of ominous with the closed corridors and low lighting and indoor setting, but once one of the Kongs picks up their respective banana, a timer pops up in the top right corner of the screen, and then some crosshairs center over whichever Kong that you're playing as you hear this creepy voice say, and if you don't get out of the temple and that timer hits 0, you get shot and killed. No questions asked. I had literally no idea that the scary moment was going to happen the first couple times that I played it as a kid. And when it did happen to me, I'm pretty sure a piece of me died inside. And it's still dead, just so you know. You know what's cool? Spaceships. You know what's also cool? Foxes. What if I told you that I used to play a game where there were foxes in spaceships? Star Fox 64 is responsible for giving me a love of fast-paced flying action shooters, so basically just Star Fox games, and helped to hone my gamer skills. A little. Hey. That game was hard, and I beat it as a kid. But anyway, the game itself really isn't that scary at all throughout the course of the entire thing. The vast majority of the game is just good old action, space shooting in space. But when you make it to the end of the game, you face the final boss of the game, Dr. Andros, the evil scientist himself. So you show up, no big deal, like all the other stuff before. There's a giant monkey head in front of you, and you just shoot it to death. You're shooting him, you're shooting him, you're shooting him, and then all of a sudden he starts blowing up, and you're thinking to yourself, hey, I did it. I'm pretty good at this game. How about that? What the hell is that? His brain and eyes pop out and fly around and try to kill you. It might not be the most scary thing in the world anymore, all right, but as a kid, that creeped me the hell out. To be juked out at the last moment right when you thought you won by this floating brain and these creepy eyes that never blink, just staring right into your soul. Yeah, that was a scary moment. Last on my list, but definitely not the least, is a return to The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. It's 3D. I mean, come on. What kind of a Nintendo 60... No. What kind of a creepy gaming video would this be if I didn't mention what was potentially the most creepy and the most depressing game of all time? Majora's Mask. And on that note, again, the game is chock full of creepy moments from the start of the game, pretty much. There's that sad-looking strange tree. There's the father that's a zombie trapped inside the cabinet. There's even the intense glare of the Majora's Mask itself, which I still find very hard to just stare into. But like I said with Ocarina of Time, I'm only going to focus on what I felt was the scariest moment from the entire game for this list. In my opinion, out of everything the game has to offer as far as scares are concerned, the scariest and most disturbing part of the entire thing comes from a place called Icona Valley. You see, in that valley, there's a song that you're taught after you defeat the long-dead skeleton king of Icona. The song allows you to create empty, soulless statue duplicates of yourself, and it's called the Elegy of Emptiness. Now I get it, there's a lot of people out there that say that that eerily smiling Link statue is not really creepy or not really smiling, but like I said, these kinds of things affect everyone differently, and all I'm saying is that if you saw that in the corner of your room across from your bed in the middle of the night, almost completely encompassed by the shadows with just a little bit of light revealing the facial expressions, and it was just watching you, I'd wager that you might experience what the rest of us call a bit of a fright. And if not, well, you might be empty inside. Not unlike the Elegy of Emptiness statues. The empty Link Elegy of Emptiness statue has creeped people out for decades and even led to one of the most famous creepypastas being made, Ben Drowned. So clearly I'm not alone in this. Also, I made a theory about this in the last video. It's creepy, it's fun, go check it out. I'll link to it in the description below. Anyway, that's the list. I know it was kind of short, it had like, what, only 6 scary moments, but listen, that's just because they were my actual personal scary moments that I could remember from my memory at the time of scripting this video. I didn't look them up on the internet to fill out some sort of fabricated list like some sort of YouTuber. But that being said, of course, I'm sure many of you have different scary experiences from the old gal. So be sure to let me know what they is down in the comments below, given that you're still alive right now. Also, thank you so much for watching. Also, like this vid if you liked this vid. Also, subscribe to stick around for so much more. Also, huge thanks to my Bandit crew who make my day every day and are the reason why I can make silly videos like this one. Hallelujah. Now, I've got to do something creepy to end this video, but what to do? What to do? Oh, I've got just the thing.